Alright guys, I'm pretty excited to try out this new pop tester. It's very generic, just off of Amazon. It's like $80 or $100. I've just been swapping out nozzles for years, and I figured it'd be kind of cool to see that they actually pop off where they're supposed to. And not too concerned about exact pressure. I don't know what this gauge will actually read, and it is probably from China, but mostly concerned about them all reading the same, and just that they're not leaking. And so I'll do one of the original injectors here. I've just got a set of stock nozzles in them now, and show you what a leaky injector looks like, and then show you how to swap the nozzles out and see how they pop off with the new nozzles in. I will say this is definitely not a professional way of getting them calibrated. There's a lot more to it than this. So especially on higher horsepower builds, you definitely want to have them professionally swapped and tested. But we'll see what this looks like and see how it does. Okay, so here we are set up with the factory nozzle here. And as I build up, once it gets a little over 2,000 here, you can see it start to taper off, and it's actually leaking. And so it's not popping off at all there. So that's definitely not good. Now if you hit it hard enough, you can hear that noise there. It'll start popping. But it's definitely leaking under moderate pressure there. So we'll go ahead and start swapping the nozzles out and see how they perform. You definitely need these in a vise to go ahead and get them broke loose. They're really tight here. I went ahead and cracked it, but then you can just go ahead and spin this off here. It'll bring the copper washer off with it. And once you get it up here, you can see it starts to spin there. So you want to be really careful so you don't drop the rest of the injector out. Because when you're just swapping them like this, you don't have to mess with any of that stuff there. So, and here it is. You can kind of see there's a couple of pieces. They're a little hard to see there, but there's a couple of pieces there in the center and a spring. Definitely do your best to leave that upright and just leave it right in the vise. You can clean the threads around here, but then once you get that off, you'll have the copper O-ring will come off, and then you can slide the whole nozzle out. There's going to be a bunch of gunk in here from carbon buildup, so you'll want to go ahead and clean this out to start with. So now got that all cleaned off. We've got our new nozzle here. These are 240s, and what you want to do is, there's only one way this will fit right. If you put it on like this, you can see it's crooked and off to the back side here. If you flip it around this way, the holes should line up. Oh, got them messed up there. And it'll sit perfectly center. Then you can slide this guy over the top. Hold that down on those two pins, and then screw it back down again and get it tight. And I don't remember what the torque spec is for these. I usually just get them good and tight. And then we'll go ahead and put this back on and see how it looks. Alright, here's the new nozzle on. We'll go ahead and get it pumped up here. And instead of it leaking right here, we've got nothing. and then a nice pop and a spray right there, just a little over 3,000 psi. That looks beautiful. So if you don't have the pop tester, obviously you can just swap the nozzles out like that, but with the pop tester it's pretty cool to see exactly where they work, and that obviously the nozzles are working correctly now. So we'll go ahead and repeat that and get all of them done. Well, there you have it. I've got 4 injector nozzles installed, and they all popped right about 3,000 to 3,200 psi. It's kind of hard to get an exact reading, but I would say they are all popping off pretty well. And you could see the spray pattern was nice, and they were definitely not leaking beforehand. So I'd say it's a pretty good test, and definitely worth it for me, where I'm swapping a lot of these nozzles out with all my swaps in different cars. So I will say I started out on the workbench, and this thing sprays diesel everywhere. So I moved to the floor here. I'd probably almost go outside if it wasn't windy, because it sure makes a mess. But it's pretty cool to see that they're working right, and they definitely work a lot better than they did with the old nozzles, which came out of a running car. So it's pretty amazing to see what these things will run on, because the one of those was leaking just terribly. So anyway, definitely a quick tutorial on doing your own injector nozzles. Thanks for watching, guys.